Okay, welcome back guys. So we're going to get straight back into where we left off. This is of course part 3 of my replay of Resident Evil 2. Hope you're all enjoying the video so far. I'm going to carry on. I'm not doing too bad at this moment in time, but here is the second puzzle that we need to figure out, which is again not very difficult. Let's see if I can remember it without looking at the hints on the wall. First of all, we click this one, and then we click doopy 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 doo. Click this one to move to the right, and the last one to move to the right. There we go, it should do it. Told you. So we need the tablet, and we can put this in the box for safekeeping. Let me think. Can I go out? Should I go out that way? Is that the way I want to go? Yeah, this is the way I want to go. Can unlock the shortcut now. Might as well just kill these dudes because we're gonna have to come through this area again. So let this down, that takes us back down into the main hallway, so we don't have to keep doing that whole round trip, which is good. Come on, you're already on your way down then. Is it bleeding out? No. That'll do. So we want to put this in here because we don't need it at the moment. If we pick up the lighter, we can go get the second half of that jewel. Secretary's diary. Yeah, nothing else I need in there. Get the ink ribbon. If we go get that jewel now, probably be the easiest thing to do maybe before we carry on through that door, I think. So here's the shortcut now. So I'm not doing bad up to now. I'm kind of like knowing my way, aren't I? Really. So not doing bad. That one's not a spade. Oh, it is. I do need something from this room actually. I think it's the crank, and I do need the crank. If I remember quite rightly. Ink ribbon. And at least we got rid of that key, so that's opened up a space for us as well in the inventory. We do need this crank. So a lot of toing and throwing. But you know, I love this game so much. I mean, every now and again, I go back and play a Resident Evil game. I mean, the PS1 era is probably like my favourite era in terms of video games. It really was. I think so many great games, but obviously you play a lot of the games now and they really don't hold up. They don't stand the test of time. But I think the Resident Evil games on the PS1, you know, 1, 2, 3, obviously Resident Evil Director's Cut, I think despite the controls, the daft dialogue, the really bad voice acting, I think the gameplay, it does hold up. I still enjoy the shit out of them. To me, this is what Resident Evil's all about, and it kind of lost its heart, lost its soul a bit. No, with like Resident Evil 5, shit, with Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6, you know, and unfortunately, even though Resident Evil 4 is hailed as one of the greatest games of all time, and people regard it as the greatest Resident Evil game of all time, I really don't think it was. I think that was the beginning of the end, in all honesty. You know, I think it took the series in the direction of more action than horror. I didn't find Resident Evil 4 particularly scary. I didn't think that the Los Ganados were scarier than the zombies, the actual zombies, even though a lot of people would disagree, because they weren't zombies, they were just like, they were sort of like real people who had been sort of brainwashed, that kind of thing. So I think people would argue that they were much scarier than these sort of zombies who just come lurching at you, you know, type of thing. But nah, I mean, I enjoyed Resident Evil 4 and I enjoyed it a lot, but I wouldn't go as far to say it was the greatest Resident Evil game ever. It's just a really good game. I understand what it done for the genre in terms of, you know, third person shooters, using that whole over the shoulder type viewpoint. You know, I understand how it sort of revolutionised the genre and whatnot, but I think whilst it revolutionised the genre, it took a lot away from the genre as well, which is really unfortunate. You know, and it amazes me that it really absolutely amazes me that in the whole generation, well, in the whole of the last generation, in the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era, we did not have one good Resident Evil or Silent Hill game, and that absolutely amazes me. I'm astounded. I mean, you think how long that generation actually went on for. You know, you're looking at the best part of what, 8-9 years that generation went on for, and you can't tell me that a good Silent Hill game come out. I mean, Silent Hill Homecoming I enjoyed, but obviously it didn't have a patch on the original Silent Hill or Silent Hill 2 or 3 on the PS2. Resident Evil 5 sucked, Resident Evil 6 sucked. What on earth Operation Raccoon City was all about, I have no idea. You know, they sucked ass. You know, and I just hope they can kind of, well, at least try and rectify it in this new generation on the Xbox One and the PS4, you know. I think it's going to be difficult because I think, you know, they want to go after that whole Call of Duty audience and this, that and the other, all that rubbish that they talk, but I think they just need to go back to the basics, you know, I really do. And I think they could do it. I don't think it's a lost cause. I think they could do it. But yeah, them first like 3 Resident Evil games I go back to a lot. You know, I love to replay them every now and again. They're just fun to me. I just enjoy playing them. I like the storylines. I like the characters. You know, it's just, to me, there's just a lot to like. But again, like I say, it is a shame that the series just kind of fell off. I mean, to be honest, let me try to think where Resident Evil did fall off. I mean, if you look at the PS1 days, and there was quite a few PS1 Resident Evil games. You have Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3. Obviously Resident Evil Director's Cut come out, which was the Director's Cut of Resident Evil 1. Then you had Resident Evil Survivor, Gun Survivor, which was that light gun game, which I actually enjoyed. In fact, a funny story is, when that game come out, the Resident Evil Gun Survivor, I actually bought the attachment, the Survivor light gun, the official Survivor light gun, and that shit never worked. I didn't actually understand how to use the gun as well as try and control the character movement and this, that and the other. When it worked, like the shooting was a lot of fun with the gun, but that was a mess. I mean, but that was at a time, how old? That would have been around about, what, 99, 2000 that game come out. I don't even think I started high school when that game come out, so I wasn't sort of like really up on the whole. So back in the day, I wasn't really bothered about resolution, frame rates, this, that and the other. The game had Resident Evil in the title. I was a fan, I wanted to play it, you know what I mean? I wasn't looking at reviews and this, that and the other for the game. And I played that game and I enjoyed it. I also played Resident Evil Gaiden on the Game Boy Color. I had that game as well, which I enjoyed. It was good. A lot of people would turn around now and say, no it wasn't, but it was. So, yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent then, but, you know, it makes the videos a bit more interesting to talk about my experiences with him. I think I can get rid of that, what's it now? Get rid of this. But yeah, I enjoyed the Resident Evil game. So hang on, where was I? Resident Evil Survivor, and I think that was the end of the Resident Evil games on the PS1. And then moving to the PS2, we of course had Resident Evil Code Veronica X, which originally come out on the Sega Dreamcast. So that come out. We had Resident Evil Gun Survivor 2, that come out on PS2. I never actually played that one though, but that, whereas Gun Survivor I think was set between obviously the games on PS1, I think Gun Survivor was set around that Code Veronica timeline. And then I think another one that was released was Resident Evil Dead Aim. That was released on PS2, and I had that game. I think that was a first person game. I think it was in first person on that, if I remember rightly. And that game is actually set on a ship. And of course you had these sort of ill-fated the ill-fated online games, Resident Evil, what was that game? Resident Evil Outbreak 1 and 2, which I was really looking forward to. But obviously, at that time, the PS2 wasn't really an online console. It didn't really have that community. It didn't really have that infrastructure. Like, Xbox Live was already up and running, but the PlayStation wasn't. So I played Resident Evil Outbreak, and I didn't really like it. I never actually got to play it online anyway, but I never liked it. I never played Outbreak 2. I can't remember if it was an actual sequel or if it was just like an enhanced version of Outbreak. I can't remember, but I never played it anyway. Right, what was that key I just got then? Because I'm talking the diamond key. But yeah, so them games come out, and then obviously we get to the PlayStation 3 era. Well, no, of course, in that PS2 era, that's when Resident Evil 4 come out. Obviously, it come out as a timed exclusive on GameCube. Timed exclusive on GameCube, and then come out on the PS2. So, and you also had the remake of the original Resident Evil on the GameCube, which was awesome, by the way. And it annoys me that Nintendo owns the rights to that game, so you'll never see, probably won't see a HD version of it come across to PlayStation or Xbox. And they also have Resident Evil 0. Resident Evil 0, that never come across. I think that was a GameCube exclusive, that never come across to the PS2 either, if I remember rightly. But you know, a lot of Resident Evil games, a lot of them good, a lot of them bad, so it is what it is. It is what it is, man.